Hey guys, Zach from Elation here. I'm here to show you how to replace a tilt yoke on a Paragon M. I made this video pretty fast paced just because I'm not trying to end up with an hour video. So my suggestion would be to go through the video first, kind of get the lay of the land, understand what you're going to do, then go back, get ready to start working on the unit, and then kind of do clip by clip. And here are all the tools you're going to need. You're going to need some pliers, 3mm hex, either the bit or the T-handle, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver or a bit, a thinner flathead screwdriver, a pick, and you could always use some cutters. I really like my right angle attachment and also my ratchet, which they kind of do the same thing, but it really helps in some cases. It's fine if you don't have these tools, but it definitely makes it easier. I personally like to use a drill just because it's faster, but you do have to be careful when you are using it. It's easy to strip screws with. Just use whatever is most comfortable to you. You will need some medium strength thread locker, and please do not use the permanent one. Most of our screws have a lock washer, so you don't have to worry about it. There are some flush screws that screw into the bearing of the yoke that would be a good idea to put thread locker on. The first thing we're going to do is take off the arm cover. Since we're working on the lock, we're only going to remove that side arm cover. The arm cover has 6 3mm captured screws. Now we're going to remove the head covers. Each of the head covers has 10 captured screws. Sometimes the head covers do get stuck, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a flathead screwdriver and wedge it between the cover and the side panel. Just be careful with scratching or damaging any of the covers. Now if you look at the back of the head, there's going to be 4 screws that are holding in the back cover. We're going to go ahead and remove those. The next thing is we're going to gut the fixture. We're going to start with the global module and then work our way up. Before we start unscrewing, there are going to be 2 cable harnesses that we're going to have to disconnect. These cables are connected to PC boards that are located underneath the module. Before you pull out any module, you want to double check to make sure that the tilt lock is engaged. Then we can unscrew the 4 screws that are holding in that module. There's going to be 2 on each side. These screws are captured, so don't expect them to come all the way out. Try pulling out the module as even as possible because it's most likely going to get stuck if you don't. Now we're going to unplug the cable that goes into the shutter module. We're going to take out the shutter module just like we did the global module with the 2 screws on each side. So what you're going to have to do is pull that focus module up and out of the way. Now on the other side of the head, we're going to look for the jumper connection that connects the zoom/focus module. There are a good amount of screws holding this module in, so we're going to do it step by step. There are 4 screws in each corner of this module. They're going to be facing down and screwed into the housing. These screws are kind of in a tricky position, so right angled attachment or some sort of a ratchet would help here a lot. I'm going to disconnect the harness that goes into the motor just to keep them out of the way and not to have to worry about them. I'm going to use my ratchet with my little 3mm attachment just because it's easier for me. Next, we're going to unplug the power from the PC board. Make sure when we put the power connector back on that we put it back the correct way. If you don't, it'll cause a short and the unit won't turn on at all. It won't break the unit, but it is a pain in the butt to be troubleshooting something that should be fully connected. This PC board is mounted onto a sled, and the sled is mounted onto the focus zoom module. So we're going to unscrew the sled. Now that we unscrew the sled, we have more access to that PC board. We want to remove the bus cables from that PC board. They're going to be the only gray connectors. They are labeled with the C8 and the C10, so when we have to put them back in, we know exactly where they go. Now we're going to remove the screw that's holding that bracket. Now on each side of the head, there's going to be 6 screws that's holding the focus module into the housing. And on the other side where we left the arm cover on, there are still 6 screws, but only 4 screws are holding into the housing. Either way, we want to remove all 6 screws just because it makes it easier on us. Now we're going to want to slide out the module. We're pulling out the same side that we pulled out the sled. It's a tight fit, so it's going to take some wiggling around. Make sure you're cleared of all cables, like the main harness that connects the module, along with all the cables that were connected to that PC board on the sled. Our next step is going to be removing the side cover, but first we have to remove the filter that's in it. The cover for the filter does have a safety cable, so we have to be careful when removing that. We don't want to yank it and possibly damage the filter. I'm leaving the cover of the filter there because we are going to remove that cover, and that filter cover will stay with the housing of the unit. There are 4 Phillips screws that are holding in the side cover that we're going to have to remove. Once you get the 4 screws off, you can lift up the cover and then feed the filter cover through. We are going to want to remove the filter cover off the housing of the unit. Now we're going to want to remove the lens. The lens is held in by 4 3mm screws. The screws are pretty deep in there, so you're going to want to use a longer bit or a T-handle if you have it. When you take off the lens cover, take a look at it. The lens does go a specific way, and the lens cover does have a guide to help you. Our next goal is to remove the heatsink. In order to remove everything from the heatsink, we have to disconnect everything first. So we're going to start with the power cables that go through the tilt yoke. You're going to need a thinner flathead screwdriver to get into the screws to loosen up the cables. On the inside of the head, there's a bracket that's holding the cables in place. We are going to have to remove that bracket. That's held in by a flush Phillips screw. Then we're going to clear the cables that were connected to the gobo module. In the same area, we're also going to have to disconnect the bus cable that is connected to the LED driver board. After that, we're going to have to unscrew the ground, and we're also going to disconnect the fans that are connected to the driver. Our next step is going to remove the gasket. We only have to remove the gasket from the side that we're going to remove, so there's no need to remove the whole gasket. The gasket's not connected at the bottom, so with a pick or a small flathead screwdriver, you should be able to get it out from where it's seated. With the gasket cleared and all the wires disconnected, we can go ahead and take off the heatsink. The heatsink is connected by 4 3mm screws. Now I'm taking off the side cover on the back. You could have also done this when you're doing the other cover on the nose side. This cover is held in by 4 flush Phillips screws. Next, we're going to unscrew the nose from the side. There are 2 3mm screws that are holding them together. We have to remove the 2 screws that are holding in the cable protector in the yoke. There are 7 screws holding in the bracket, but for now I'm only going to remove the top 5 screws. The reason I did this is to keep the lock engaged as much as possible. It's just easier to work on a unit when the tilt lock is on. Now I'm removing the 5 screws that are holding that bracket into the bearing. Now that I have most of it off, I'm going to take off the tilt lock. There are 2 flush Phillips screws holding it in. And then going to remove the last 2 screws holding in the bracket. Once everything's unscrewed, you go ahead and lift up the nose, turn the side of the head, and then push away from the arm and it should pop out. The only thing left to do is now transferring everything from your old yoke to the new one. There are 4 counterbalance screws, the fan with the 4 screws holding it in, and the bracket that's protecting the fan cable. I'm pretty sure I covered everything, but if there was something I missed or you have any more questions, please feel free to contact me at zach.santana@elationlighting.com. I hope you enjoyed the video.